Hi, I'm Aaliyah Woods, co-founder and farm manager for Commonwealth Urban Farms. Welcome to the third installment in our Beginning Gardener video series. Today we're going to plant arugula and radishes. But first, let's check on the smart pot that we planted over the last 2 weeks. So we got lettuce here that came up that we planted 2 weeks ago, and it's germinated nicely. Still tiny, but it's coming along great. Onions are looking good from last week, and the carrots that we planted last week haven't germinated yet. That's fine, we expected that. They often take a couple weeks to germinate. It's a little dry. I've been watering it every day, but let's water it again right now. Especially on the carrot seeds, we want to make sure that they stay moist all the time that they're germinating. So we'll give it a good watering here. Now let's go on to our next smart pot. This is a number 20 smart pot. That means it holds 20 gallons. Smart pots are made here in Oklahoma City, and they're sold all across the country. In Oklahoma City, you can get them at Organics OKC, TLC, Bethany Country Store, Plant Wisdom, and other garden centers. We like smart pots for container growing because they're porous, they breathe. That lets oxygen get to the root zone, and also because they promote air pruning. So what the heck is air pruning? When a plant grows and its roots send out, on a plastic pot, if the roots reach the inside of the pot, then they turn and circle around and around, and the plant tends to get root bound. On a fabric pot, when the roots reach the inside of the container, they're air pruned because there's air coming through the container. So that means that the tip of the root dries out, basically, which sounds like a bad thing, but what that promotes is lateral root development. So when the tip stops growing, then the plant sends out more roots laterally, and you end up with a lot of root mass in the same amount of space. Now let's fill our container. We've placed our smart pot in full sun near the front door, so we'll see it as we go in and out of the house. For potting mix, you can buy a commercial potting mix. Big box stores tend to have cheap potting mix, but it tends to be lower quality. Go to a local garden store and get the best potting mix that you can afford. Soil is everything. Healthy soil is key to a healthy garden. Put your money in your soil. We're going to mix our own potting mix. Our recipe is 1 bucket of coarse vermiculite, 1 bucket of peat moss or coconut coir, 1 bucket of compost. Get the best compost you can afford or make your own. If you don't already have your own compost pile, today is a good day to start. If you're growing in the ground, add some compost before you plant. I also like to add a 1/2 cup of blood meal as a slow release nitrogen source, and a 1/2 cup of green sand for trace minerals. Then you're going to mix it all up. Cut that. 2 wheelbarrows of our mixture is enough to fill 1 number 20 smart pot. We go into more detail on this in our first video of this series. Now we're going to plant radishes. I love radishes. They're as close to immediate gratification as almost any vegetable that you can plant, 1 month from seed to harvest. Radishes like cool weather. They'll get bitter in hot weather, so they're a great vegetable to plant in spring and fall. French breakfast is a particular favorite variety of mine. They give you these pretty roots with a little white tip on them. These radishes we planted last fall, and they overwintered under row cover. So they took longer to grow than a month because they were growing in the wintertime, but still yummy. So on these radishes, I'm going to make an X in the middle of the pot and plant those 2 little rows with radish seed. How deep to plant? Rule of thumb, plant seeds 2 to 3 times the thickness of the seed itself. Probably the biggest common mistake that beginners make is to plant seeds too deep. I'm going to plant these about 1 inch apart. Because we're using such fertile, loose soil, we can plant our vegetables more closely together than in traditional gardening. So most of these will germinate, and that will allow them about an inch apart to have just enough space for each root to mature. And after I get them all planted, then I will just barely cover them up with soil. Just push that little ridge of soil over. Again, not too deep. And we're done. Now we're going to plant arugula. If you don't like arugula, you could plant something else like spinach or collards, kale, mustard greens. We're going to just sprinkle down the seed, not very much. Remember, each of these seeds turns into a little plant. Just like that. And then I'm going to sprinkle a tiny bit of soil on top. There we go. And now I'll water it in. Water very gently. We don't want to push those little tiny seeds around. All right, arugula done. Next week, we're going to plant rainbow chard and baby turnips. You can catch our earlier videos on our YouTube channel, CommonwealthUrbanFarms.com. Thanks for watching.